taking a minute to tell us about his career, which we never got to on the main show, about you being a criminal defense attorney. I know that you did USF while you were still coaching.
Right.
For Oakland, and then you came out, went to Stetson, great school, by the way. Then you became prosecutor.
So,
Correct.
So what got you into law?
Yeah.
Of all things.
Well, an interesting story. When I was a young man and Charlie Manson was out slaughtering those people in California, he got prosecuted by a guy named Bugliosi. I can't remember the guy's first name now, but he was the prosecutor. And everybody was afraid of Charles Manson. They didn't want to look at him. Nobody made eye contact with this guy. He was a killer. He was a bully. I don't like bullies. Never have. Mm-hmm. And Bugliosi was the only. My mom said to me, "That's the only guy who has the nerve to stare evil in the face."
Wow.
And so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a baseball player, but I also want to be a submarine commander and a veterinarian, all these other things. But,
you have time, Robin. You have time.
So I said, well, someday at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I want to go be a prosecutor like that guy and stand up for people that can't stand up for themselves. Nice. And when I went to law school, this is a true story, I couldn't have told you the name of a single law firm in the city of Tampa. I didn't care. I didn't know about Hill, Ward, and Henderson or McFack or Holland and Knight. None of those. Yeah. I just wanted to go work for the state attorney. So I interned for Harry Coe when he was a judge. He got elected to the state attorney's office. He told me, if you ever get through law school and pass the bar, I'll hire you. And I remember going in there, and I interned for him as in law school, and they told me they didn't have any jobs when I got my license. And I said, well, Judge Coe said this, and so I convinced him to take me up to see Judge Coe, and I remember he walked out of his office, and I'm with all these people, and he just looks over and he goes, hire that boy, and just walked back in. So I did that for 8 years. And
I'm sure I did it just like that, too.
It was, didn't waste any time. Probably had a Diet Coke in the one hand and just waved at me with the other one, hire that boy.
And the rest was history.
Yeah, I was chief of narcotics for a while. I did all the phone taps and search warrants in the county. I prosecuted first-degree murders, armed carjackings.
I saw you prosecuted a huge RICO case. It was a 22-man cocaine bust or something. 22,
Operation Drive-Through, we called it.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, that was a good. There's a lot of good stuff to say.
So before you get into that, what do you think are one of your greatest accomplishments in your own eyes of what you've gone through as a lawyer in the past 25 years?
Just all the different scenarios I've seen, so many things, and I've been a defense attorney for 18 years, so I've seen it from both sides, and I understand what the defendants go through when they're standing there. I understand what the victims go through as a defense attorney and as a prosecutor. I've had so many jobs in my life. I've been a gas station attendant back in the days, a bag boy. I washed dishes. I counted auto parts, as a day job. I mean, I did everything you could do just to make ends meet coming up in my life. So I want people, when they look at me and they see me on the bench, to have confidence that I can identify with them, that I'm not somebody different, that my experiences are their experiences.
You're completely unbiased.
So, so in this Operation Drive-Through, to get a wiretap, you got to have enough probable cause that a judge is going to sign a warrant. So we're pulling garbage from the side of the road. We're monitoring cars and running license plates to see what kind of people are visiting these guys. So you build up this whole package. You got confidential informants to give you information. You take it to a judge. He agrees with it. He signs off on it. Every 10 days during the wire, you got to go back and justify why you're doing it. And it's only good for 30 days. And there's rules of what you can and can't listen to and things like that I won't bore you with. But we had a call where they were going to bring a couple of kilos from Miami to Tampa across the alley and then up the interstate. So we call Monroe County Sheriff, and we just have those guys stop the car, go to the trunk, take the dope out, tell the guys have a nice day, send them on their way.
What?
And so they're thinking either they got ripped off or the cops are dirty. They don't know. But the one thing we do know they were going to do was get on the phone and start talking. Oh. And that just piled on the incriminating evidence. And then during that same thing, they were flying marijuana in from Texas via U.S. mail and trying to disguise the smell and everything. So we knew who was sending it. So we were just taking the dope right off the airplane, and it was never making it to Tampa. So they're calling him, where's our dope? And I don't know, I mailed it. So they wanted to go over there and kill the guy because they thought he was stealing from them. So we had to arrest him just to make sure that he didn't get killed by the bad guys. Oh. And I remember prosecuting those guys, and
Wait, hold on. Was that guy appreciative? Did he know that you probably saved his life?
I don't think he probably never even knew. And we break it down into tiers. We got the bad guys that are really moving the weight, and then we got the middle guys that are distributing, and then we got just the dime store guys, and then the users. They're all part of the conspiracy and the RICO. So you treat them accordingly. Not everybody goes to prison, but just the ones that
the bad guys.
Yeah, they're really bringing in the weight.
Right.
And I remember sending one of the guys I sent to prison when when I became a defense attorney. He found it out. When members of his family got into trouble, he referred them to me.
Wow. So in layman terms, what's a RICO case?
It's a racketeering influence criminal organization. It's where you have an organized. It's a business that's in the business of doing something illegal, and it applies to like drugs, prostitution. You can have RICOs, things like that, but mostly in the narcotics world.
That's when you don't. Is it a better charge or something? Like you don't want to just get them on the one-time shipment or something.
Well, what it does, it allows you to expand
the whole operation,
bring everybody in under one umbrella like that, and then then people start to flip and to testify. And
got it. Okay,
you can work it that way. But I prosecuted another funny story. I'm prosecuting this guy for armed carjacking, and he'd done 3 armed carjackings before we caught him. And I'm cross-examining him, and he says he's just talking about this guy and that guy, and he was getting confused about which guy he carjacked. And I said, "Are you talking about the first guy you're accused of carjacking, or the second guy?" And he goes, "Man, I'm talking about that second guy I jacked." And
you gotta be
the
kidding
jury
me.
just took a deep breath and said, "Well."
Sometimes they make your life easy.
Incriminate himself.
So, and some of the cases I did weren't so crazy. I prosecuted a guy for having 2 sand tiger sharks in a swimming pool in Brandon, Florida. So
what?
Yeah, somebody flew over in a helicopter. I don't know how they saw the sharks, but it was above ground pool, and they had these 2 5 or 6 foot sand tigers in there.
Is that illegal?
Yeah, because they're protected species, and there was no permit. And the guy was a marine biologist. So
wow.
I made a deal with him that if he gave me, hey, give me your sharks, I'll take care of, So I said, if you relinquish your sharks to me, to the state, I'll make sure they find a good home, and we'll drop the prosecution against you. So he gave me permission to deal with the sharks, and I ended up giving them to the Florida Aquarium, and they had a happy life there until they got too big, and then they traded them to SeaWorld from some smaller sharks.
Wow.
There's a shark trade going on?
Yeah, they do. Accommodate the different facilities.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we could put a shark in your bed. That's pretty funny. Yeah, so I'm sure you have a lot of great stories for us in the years. And I think the takeaway for our listeners is that, you're a regular guy. I
try to be.
Yeah, you try to be. Yeah.
Been married for 34 years, the same woman.
Congratulations.
Now you've got a dog, 2 adult girls, a granddaughter, I got a mortgage, car payment, just working hard every day, having,
So if you guys want to vote for a regular guy who grew up in Lutz, not Lutz, you grew up in Lutz, right here with us. I'm a North Tampa guy, so I grew up in Carrollwood my whole life. Now I'm in Odessa. But grew up in Lutz here. He's you're born and raised Tampon, and he's been fighting for you guys for a long time. And I think he'd make a great guy to sit on the bench. I mean, I can't see you making an unfair decision with all your life experiences, and like you said, you've been on both sides. So, well,
I would try to follow the law every day, of course, and make that decision that's fair and equitable under the law and the facts. Each case is different.
Right.
Everybody's situation is different, so you can't go in there with any preconceived biases or opinions, and just do what's right every day.
Do you ever feel like, I know we got to go, but do you ever feel like your hands are tied as a judge when they started some of those like minimum mandatories and things like that? Is that
they do? But there's ways. The state attorney's office here in Hillsborough County has been really good.
Yeah,
and so the state attorneys have been fairly straightforward in the way they handle cases, at least the way they deal with me. Yeah. Your hands are tied, but it was a knee-jerk reaction to a situation, but it's the law, and we'll follow it.
I love it. I love it. And I think you'll do a great job of it. Guys, look up Robin Fuson on Facebook, Robin Fuson for Judge. We appreciate you coming, Robin.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you very much. We'll see you guys next week.